Hi, I'm Kathy Reichs, author of the audiobook Bones Are Forever and the other Temperance Brennan audiobooks.
I'm Linda Emond, and I've narrated many of Kathy's great audiobooks, including Bones Are Forever.
It's so nice to finally get to meet you. You've narrated how many of my books, and we've never actually sat down face to face.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure how many I've done at this point, but it's always a pleasure, and it's great to
I love being able to put a face with a voice.
I know, me too, me too. Tempe is a fantastic character. I enjoy her very much. And I'm sure you get asked this a lot because obviously your life is very similar in ways. But how similar?
Well, professionally, we're very similar. She's a mirror image of me. She works at crime scenes, she works in the lab, she works in North Carolina, she works in Canada. Personally, she's her own individual. I wanted to give her some flaws. I wanted her character to be complex. So she has some unique things about her. Obviously, I couldn't draw on myself for flaws, so I made those up. But we share a sense of humor. I think she has a very dry sense of humor and can be a bit biting at times.
I'm familiar with that.
Yes.
So I've enjoyed the Bones TV series, and I'm curious because it feels in many ways quite different than the books, and I'm curious how they've informed each other or affected each other.
You know, I think of TV Tempe and book Tempe, and TV Tempe is a bit younger than the Tempe in the books, although she has aged after 15 books now. I'm a little vague on that. So I think of TV Tempe as a prequel. I think of that as an earlier point in Tempe's life. She's working in Washington, D.C. rather than the Carolinas and Canada. And I like that because I started my career. The very first skeleton I ever handled was at the Smithsonian Institution.
Oh, it was?
In Washington, D.C., yeah. So I like the fact that they're different, or they're different points in the life of the same character. So when I start to write a Temperance Brennan novel, I'm not impacted by what TV Tempe is doing. That's already been and gone, and I'm free to do with my character what I choose.
You're obviously a very accomplished forensic anthropologist, which I find awesome. And I'm curious that it sounds like a remarkable thing that you've done to incorporate that into your writing and to be a writer, and I understand you're a teacher as well. And of those things, is there one that's more meaningful to you than another? How do they interplay?
Yeah, it's a very circular feedback. I do still practice forensic anthropology, and I very much draw on that in writing my fiction. I often will start with a case I've worked on, and I change all the details, the names, the places, the dates, for legal and ethical reasons. Or an experience that I've had going to Guatemala, doing forensic work down there, going to Israel, doing kind of archaeological work down there. So it very much is a feedback. My writing makes me more observant at the lab. My being at the lab gives me a lot of details to put into my stories that I think many writers don't have access to.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the writing process itself? And do you ever, while you're reading, I've always been curious about this, read aloud, especially read the characters aloud?
I hear the characters' voices in my head, and I do love to listen to audiobooks. I always listen to them when I'm driving or when I'm working out on the treadmill or something. I'll plug in my earphones. So I listen to them in my head. I certainly think of my books as I'm looking at the words on the screen, how that would sound when you read it, for example, and how would that sound in an audiobook.